Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book. Take page number 23. Today we will move to the next civilization, the Chinese civilization. So China, so a nearby country. So the world most populated country. Okay, then China, it is located in the east of Asia. So just above the north of India. So to the north of India, so you can locate China. Okay, so it is one of the biggest country and also the most populated country. So our friendly country also. So friendly country? No, we have now the boundary dispute. So it's going on there, no? That we don't need. So now we will discuss about the civilization. So among the four major civilizations of the world, ancient civilization of the world, so Chinese civilization is one of the most important civilization. So already we have discussed about the Egyptian civilization, then Mesopotamian civilization. So apart from that, the Chinese civilization is also an important one. So the world most important ancient civilization. So the Chinese civilization. Today's class we will discuss in detail about the Chinese civilization. So just to recall what we have discussed in our previous class. So in our previous class we have discussed the Mesopotamian civilization. So we discussed about the Hammurabi's law code. So how many provisions are there in the Hammurabi's law code? 282. Okay, so on what principle it was compiled? It was based on the retributive principle. Okay, then so what type of image was carved about the Hammurabi's law code? The Hammurabi, the king, was receiving the code from the sun god. So who was the sun god? Shamash. Then we discussed about the Sumerian writing system. So what was the Sumerian writing system? Cuneiform. So we have discussed about that. Then art. So the Mesopotamian art included various sculptures which was in stone and clay. Then we discussed about the science. So the important contribution in the field of science was, so they developed the concept of multiplication, division and cubic equation, and also the most important one was the numerical system based on 60 was conceived by them. Then the calendar, so they used the lunar calendar. We also learned that. Then the important medical book. So what was their important medical book? Diagnostic handbook. So dated to 11th century BC. Then finally we discussed about the contribution of the Mesopotamian civilization. So the most important was the invention of the potter's wheel. Then cuneiform writing system. Then the calendar system of 360 days and divide the circle into 360 units. Then finally about the Hammurabi's law code. So important legacy of the Mesopotamians. So we have discussed these and all in our previous class. Okay, so today we will move to the next civilization, the Chinese civilization. So China has two major rivers. So you can see in this map. So one is known as Huanghe. So China has two major rivers. So one river is known as Huanghe and the other river is known as Yangtze. Okay, so Huanghe is also called as Yellow River. So two major rivers. One is called as Huanghe and other is called as Yangtze. So Huanghe is also called as Yellow River and it is known as the sorrow of China. So Huanghe, Yellow River is known as sorrow of China. Why means it changed its course and caused frequent flood. So Yellow River often changed its course and caused flood often. So that's why it was called as sorrow of China. So in Henan province, so we got the evidence for the prehistoric man. So prehistoric Peking man. So Peking, so the capital city of China. So now it was called as Beijing. Initially it was called as Peking. So 700,000 before present and 200,000 before present. So before present means, so from present day 700,000 years ago. Okay, so from present day to, so 700,000 years ago and 200,000 years ago. So there was an evidence of prehistoric Peking man and Yuan Mo man exist in China. So the archaeologist got evidence of the existence of the evidence of prehistoric man. So Neolithic communities. So so Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic communities lived in China between 4,500 and 3,750 BC. The Henan province in the Yellow and Yangtze River Valley contains the evidence for Neolithic villages. So the Henan province, so shown in this map, the red color. In the yellow, that is Huanghe and Yangtze River Valley contains the evidence for the Neolithic villages. And China had many city-states, and gradually these states became part of an empire. So after that Neolithic period, China had many city-states, and gradually these states became part of an empire. So evidence for the prehistoric man and Yuan Mo man exist in China. So we got evidence about the prehistoric man in China, and also the Neolithic communities. So the new Stone Age people lived in China between 4,500 and 3,750 BC. So the Henan province, so shown in this map, so the red color. So in Yellow and Yangtze River, so Yellow and Yangtze River that flows through the Henan province contains the evidence for the Neolithic villages. So China had many city-states. So city-states means, so like states, like a small country, okay, and gradually these states became the part of an empire. Then polity and emperors. Shi Huangdi, so who was considered as Qin Shi Huang. So Qin Shi Huang means the first emperor. So Shi Huangdi, so he was considered as the first emperor. He founded the dynasty named as Qin or Qin dynasty. So Shi Huangdi. So who was the Qin Shi Huang? So Qin Shi Huang means the first emperor founded the Qin or Qin dynasty. So note the name Qin. So from this word Qin only the country name China was derived. Okay, so China was derived from the word Qin. So because the emperor, so Shi Huangdi, so founded the Qin dynasty, that is Qin dynasty. So that's why China was called as China. Okay, so from the word Qin only the country name China was derived. So do you know how the name India or Bharat derived? So India was given to us by the foreigners. So we lived beyond the rivers Indus. So from the river name Indus only the country name India derived. Same way Bharat. So our ancient king was Bharat. So as per Mahabharata, India was ruled. So the whole India was ruled once by a king called as Bharadan. So based on his name only, the name Bharat was derived. So like that. So the Qin dynasty was the first dynasty of China. So that's why China got the name from the dynasty Qin. So the emperor had the title Son of Heaven. So Shi Huangdi had the title, so Son of Heaven. So he is considered to be the first emperor of China. So in China, Shi Huangdi was considered as the first emperor. So the period between 221 and 206 BC is known as the imperial era in China. So imperial means with the empire, related with the empire. So the period between 221 to 206 BC is considered as the imperial period in China. He conquered other principalities in 221 BC. So Shi Huangdi conquered other regions of China in 221 BC and remained the emperor till 212 BC. So he captured other regions of China in 221 BC and be the emperor. So and he remained as the emperor till 212 BC. So he defeated the feudal lords and established a strong empire. So he was the first person in China to defeat the feudal lords. So that is the local rulers and established a strong empire. And also he is credited with unifying China. So he was the first person to unify China. So Shi Huangdi destroyed the walled fortifications of different states and constructed the Great Wall of China. So you know the Great Wall of China. So one of the wonders of the world, so ancient wonders. Yeah. So it was constructed by Shi Huangdi. So Shi Huangdi, so after defeating the feudal lords, destroyed the walled fortifications. Yeah. So each ruler constructed a wall in order to protect their country. Okay, so Shi Huangdi destroyed those walled fortifications and constructed the Great Wall of China. So why he constructed the Great Wall of China means in order to protect the empire from invading nomadic people. So he constructed the Great Wall of China to protect the empire from the invading nomadic people. So nomadic people means a member of a people that continually moves to find fresh pastures for its animals and has no permanent home. So a member of a people that continually moves to find fresh pastures for its animals and has no permanent home. So the nomadic people often attack China. So in order to prevent China, so the first emperor of China, Shi Huangdi, constructed the Great Wall of China. He also built roads to integrate the empire. So in order to connect the empire, so he built roads. So the next empire was Han Empire. So during this period, a written history of the empire was made available in China. So the written history available in China during the Han Empire. So we discussed about Qin dynasty. So Qin dynasty, Shi Huangdi was the most important king. So what are the two rivers that flows, two major rivers of China? Huanghe, Yangtze. So which river is called as Sara of China? Huanghe. Then who began the construction of the Great Wall of China? Shi Huangdi. So now the Han Empire. So the period was between 206 to 220 AD. So during this period only a written history was available. So the greatest of the Han emperors was Wu Ti. So Han Wu the Great, so ruled from 141 to 87 BC. Okay, so the greatest of the Han emperor was Wu Ti, so also called as Han Wu the Great. Expanded the empire and built many public amenities. So amenities means so something that makes a place pleasant or easy to live in. So Wu Ti, so built many public amenities. So public buildings, so which made the place pleasant. Okay, so including irrigation tanks. So Wu Ti expanded the empire and built many public buildings including the irrigation tanks. He sent Zhang Qin, so Zhang Quan, so you can see in this picture both Wu Ti and Zhang Qin as emissary. So emissary means a person who is sent somewhere, especially to another country, in order to give somebody an official message or to perform a special task. Okay, emissary means a person who is sent somewhere, especially to another country, in order to give somebody an official message or to perform a specific task. Okay, so Wu Ti sent Zhang Quan as an emissary to the western countries in 138 BC and thereby paved the way for the opening of Silk Road in 130 BC. So Silk Road, so important road, so trade route, which was opened in 130 BC to encourage the trade activities. So Wu Ti was credited with opening the Silk Road. So Silk Road, so connects western countries with China, so through India. So this was an important trade route in ancient time. Okay, so Wu Ti, so who was the most important emperor of Han dynasty, expanded the empire and built many public amenities. He sent Zhang Qin as an emissary to the west in 138 BC and thereby paved the way for the opening of the Silk Road in 130 BC. So the Silk Road was opened in the year 130 BC. So it encouraged the trade activities. So you can see in this map the Silk Road. Okay, so it starts from Italy, that is Roman Empire. It passed away through Mesopotamia, then Afghanistan, India, and reached China. So the major route. So it crossed the Mesopotamia. It includes Mesopotamia and also India, and it reached China. So because of the Silk Road and the resultant trade connection, China benefited immensely. Yeah, so immensely means so very great. Yeah, so because of the trade route, China benefited very great. So during the rule of Emperor Zhang, during the rule of Emperor Zhang, so 75 to 88 AD, Chinese silk was much sought after by the Romans during the time of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius in 166 AD. Okay, so during the period of Chinese Emperor, so Zhang 75 to 88 AD. So Chinese silk. So now also the Chinese silk was world famous. Okay, so China silk was world topmost leading silk. Yeah. So it was sought. So it was liked much by the Romans. So during the time of their ruler, so Marcus Aurelius. So some of the Chinese silk might have reached Rome through the ports of Tamilagam. So it was considered some Chinese silk have reached Tamilagam port. Yeah, and from Tamilagam port it was exported to Rome. Okay, va? So the terracotta army. So the terracotta army refers to the large collection of terracotta warrior images. So terracotta warrior images. So you can see in this picture. So what I mean by terracotta? So reddish brown clay to made images. Yes, reddish brown colored clay. So in order to make images. Okay, so the terracotta army refers to the large collection of terracotta warrior images. So that is the soldiers. So images found in China. They depict the armies of the king Qin Shi Huang. So the first emperor. Yeah, so the terracotta warriors images depict the armies of the king Qin Shi Huang. So you can see in this picture. Yeah, so a large number of terracotta images. So that is considered terracotta army, the army of the first emperor Qin Shi Huang. So they were buried. So the images were buried along with the king in 210 to 209 BC. Yeah, so when the king died, so the king was buried along with this terracotta army. So they are found at the northern foot of the Lishan mountain. So there is a mountain called as Lishan in China. So it is located 35 kilometers northeast of Xi'an, Jiangxi province. Okay, so these images, so the terracotta army were found at the northern foot of the Lishan mountain, so 35 kilometers northeast of Xi'an, Jiangxi province, as a part of the mausoleum of the king. So mausoleum means an impressive building housing a tomb or group of tomb. So mausoleum means a building which housing a tomb or a group of tomb. So tomb means where the person's dead body was buried. Okay, so the terracotta army, so it was the army, large collection of terracotta warrior images found in China. So they depict the armies of the king Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. So when he died, so he was buried along with this terracotta army images. So terracotta warrior images. So they were found at the northern foot of the Lishan mountain, 35 km northeast of Jian province. Okay, as part of the mausoleum of the king. So as part of the tomb of the king. Then philosophy and literature. So there are many famous philosophers and poets lived in China. So Chinese poets and philosophers such as Lao Tzu, Confucius, Mencius, Morty and Tao Chian. So most famous philosophers lived in China in ancient period. So they contributed to the development of Chinese civilization. So they contributed much to the development of Chinese civilization. So till now we have discussed about the two important empires of China in the ancient period. So what are they? Qin dynasty, then Han Empire. So who was considered the first Chinese emperor? Shi Huangdi. Then Han Empire. So who was the most famous emperor of Han dynasty? Wu Ti. So in which year the Silk Road was opened? 130 BC. So now the philosophy and literature we are discussing. Okay, Sun Tzu. So Sun Tzu. A military strategist. So strategist means a person who is skilled at planning things, especially military activities. Okay, so Sun Tzu, a person who is skilled at planning things, especially military activities. So he was a military strategist. He wrote the book called as Art of War. So he wrote the book called as Art of War, so which is the most famous work related with war. Okay, so Sun Tzu, a military strategist, wrote the book called as Art of War. Then the Spring and Atom Annals is the official chronicle of the state at that time. So official chronicle means a written record of historical events describing them in the order in which they happened. So chronicle means so describing the historical events in order. So official, the Spring and Autumn Annals is the official chronicle of the state at the time. So during the time itself, so there was a book written about the historical events. So that was called as Spring and Autumn Annals. Then the Yellow Emperor, so Canon of Medicine, is considered as the China's earliest written book on medicine. So in the field of medicine also, we got some books. So we got a book in China. So that is called as Canon of Medicine. So which was written during the period of Yellow Emperor. So Canon of Medicine. It was codified during the time of Han Dynasty. So codified means to arrange into a order, so to arrange properly. So codified. So the Chinese earliest medicine book, the Canon of Medicine, was properly ordered, so properly codified during the time of Han Dynasty. Okay, so the Spring and Autumn Alum, the official chronicle of the state. Okay, so officially arranged historical events of the time. Then the Yellow Emperor's Canon of Medicine, so was the first China's earliest written book on medicine, which was codified during the time of Han Dynasty. Then Lao Tzu, so 604 to 521 BC. So he was the master archive keeper of Zhou state. So China was divided into many states. So in Zhou state, the master archive keeper. So archive means a collection of historical documents or record. So he has to collect the historical documents and records and keep it safe. So his duty was to collect the historical documents or records and keep it safe. So he was the founder of Daoism. So a concept. So a religion. So like Buddhism, Jainism, no. So Daoism. So he was the founder of the Daoism. He argued that desire is the root cause of all evils. So desire means wish. A strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. So he strongly argued that desire, so that our feeling of wish was the root cause of all our evils. So for all our problems, so the main reason was our desire. Okay, so it was told by Lao Tzu. So Confucius, so who lived between 551 to 497 BC, was the famous among the Chinese philosophers. So Confucius. So he was also a political reformer. So political reformer means so who want changes in political field. So his names mean Kung. So Confucius' name means Kung, the master. So he insisted on the cultivation of one's personal life. So he gave importance to a personal discipline. So he gave most importance to personal discipline. He said, if personal life is cultivated, the family life is regulated, and once the family life is regulated, national life is regulated. So that means he says, if personal discipline, if self-discipline was developed means, so the family life was good. So if the family life was good means, the whole country will be a good country. Okay, so that's why, so we are giving much importance to, so we gave much importance to the self-discipline. So if you develop your self-discipline, so if you are disciplined personally means, then your family will be regulated. So then your family will be disciplined means the whole country will be disciplined. So that's why in our school itself we gave more importance to discipline. So that's why discipline is very, very important. So that is self-discipline. It was told by the famous Chinese philosopher Confucius. Then Mencius, so who lived between 372 to 289 BC, so was another well-known Chinese philosopher. So he traveled throughout China and offered his counsel. So counsel means advice. So he traveled throughout China and gave his advice to the rulers. Okay, so we have discussed the philosophers. So who were the philosophers we discussed? Yeah, first Lao Tse. So he founded Daoism. So what was argued by him? Yeah, desire is the root cause of all evils. Then discussed about Confucius. Yeah, so his name means Kung the master. Then finally Mencius, so well-known Chinese philosopher. Then the Chinese script. So Chinese developed a writing system from an early time. Initially it was a pictographic system and later it was converted into a symbol form. So Chinese developed a writing system from their ancient period itself. Yeah, so from early time. Initially it was a pictographic system. So it was like a picture. That is, they expressed the thing what they see as a picture. Okay, but later it was converted into a symbol form. So you can see in this picture. So Chinese script on the bone. So they inscripted, so they wrote something on the bone of an animal. So what animal? So we don't know. So maybe any animal. So maybe a domestic or wild animal. So they write it. So they write the letters on a bone. Next, last topic, contribution of the Chinese civilization. So what are the contributions of the Chinese to the world? Do you know? The most important, the gunpowder. So during Deepavali, so we are celebrating with the crackers now. Yeah, that we use the gunpowders. Yeah, so that was invented by the Chinese only. So now also in military, so the soldiers use the gunpowder. Yeah, so first it was developed by the Chinese only. So initially, so we used the sword, bow and arrow in only in the army, but the usage of gunpowder was first developed by the Chinese. So the Chinese only invented the gunpowder. Then apart from that, they invented the paper. So now you have paper. So you have paper with you now. So that paper was also invented by the Chinese only. Okay, so what were the contributions? So first, the writing system was improved. So Chinese developed the writing system. Then second, invention of paper. So paper was invented by the Chinese. Then third one, opening of the Silk Road. So through Silk Road, so the China have trade contact with other civilizations, especially with Rome and also with Indus Valley civilization. So the Chinese had good trade contact because of the opening of the Silk Road. So now also the Chinese government is again trying to open the Silk Road. Do you know? Yeah, try to gather information about that. So China now trying to open the Silk Road. So but India refused to join it. So she tried to open the Silk Road. So like that in the ancient period, she want to have trade contact with other countries. Okay, then invention of gunpowder. So Chinese was credited with the invention of gunpowder. Okay, students. In today's class itself, the Chinese civilization over. So if you have any doubt, contact me. Okay, so for textbook reading, take page number 23. Yeah, read that last heading, polity and emperors. Then homework. So take page number 31. Sixth Roman letter. Detail question. First detail, define the terms hieroglyphic and cuneiform. Already you wrote hieroglyphics. Now cuneiform. Take page number 22. Right side, the heading cuneiform. The Sumerian writing system is there now. Read well and write it as your homework. Okay, so if you have any doubt, contact me. Thank you. Have a nice day.